Under the gnarled, sprawling branches of a towering oak hybrid, a strange and ancient tree nestled in a sleepy suburban neighborhood, Waterley, lived not one but three cursed pirate skeletons, Mo, Marty, and Morty. Each of them had been buried in this spot long ago, and each had one thing in common. They were the world's grumpiest, pickiest, and most overly opinionated lawn critics. Their eternal rest was less about peace and more about the endless need to micromanage the landscape above their graves. The trio had once been solitary haunters of the Waterley neighborhood, each waking up on their schedule, rising through the soil to complain to whatever poor landscaper was trimming the bushes or mowing the lawn that day. But over the years, their hauntings overlapped. One day, they all emerged at once, startled by the revving roar of lawnmowers and the high-pitched squeal of hedge trimmers. From that day forward, the skeletons decided they might as well make a team out of it, each bringing their brand of critique to the landscapers who dared step foot in their domain. It always started the same way. As soon as the landscaping trucks rumbled into the neighborhood, the trio would rise from their graves in an eerie yet slightly comical fashion. Mo, with his dramatic flair, would be the first to emerge, sending a swirl of leaves and dirt flying as he sat up from under the tree's massive roots. Marty would float up next, brushing off the roots tangled around his bony frame, grumbling about how nobody respected his personal space. Morty would come last, cracking his joints and muttering about how he could already tell the landscapers were about to mess something up.
Oh, here we go again. I'm sure we're about to see another display of atrocious mowing patterns. They never learn.
Tell me about it. You know they always butcher the bushes. You think they could get a nice even trim for once in their lives? And don't even get me started on those power blowers. I swear, they're louder every year. Can't a skeleton get some peace and quiet? And look at that. That patch of weeds is still there. Unbelievable.
The landscapers knew what they were in for when they saw the trio rise. Jorge, Carl, and Joe, all seasoned landscapers who dealt with the skeletons more times than they could count, exchanged glances and sighed as they began unloading their equipment.
I see you're mowing again, but do you know the first rule of lawn care? A checkerboard pattern, boys. None of this back and forth nonsense. It's all about elegance. You're going too deep with those hedge trimmers. The bushes should look refined, not butchered. Do you want this neighborhood to look like a haunted house or a place with some taste? Not too much on the branches. This tree's got character, and if you take too much off, what'll we be left with? A bald mess, just like Mo here. Also, be careful not to cut off good old Scully Bones' head, even though only Mrs. Bateson would miss him.
Meanwhile, Morty, who believed he was the most down-to-earth of the three, would be pacing around the lawn, inspecting every inch like a drill sergeant at inspection. Weeds! I see weeds! And you call yourselves landscapers? Get rid of those before I start losing bones over here, he'd shout. And don't think I didn't notice you missed a spot on the mulch. Bag those leaves properly. You can't just blow them around and hope nobody notices, especially when somebody is noticing.
One Thursday, as a last-ditch effort to get the skeletons off their backs, Jorge brought flowers to plant around the tree, tulips and daffodils to brighten up the area. Morty practically rattled out of his bones when he saw them. Flowers? Those flowers? He howled. Daffodils? Who do you think we are? Children frolicking in a meadow. Get me some proper plants. Ferns, hostas. Something that says, I'm haunting here with dignity. Joe, ever the optimist, suggested bringing in more seasonal decor. How about some pumpkins for Halloween? He asked, hoping to get in the trio's good graces.
That suggestion made all three skeletons groan in unison. Pumpkins! Carved pumpkins? Mo moaned. Do you know how awkward it is having those grinning faces leering at you all night? I'm trying to be spooky, not upstaged by a bunch of orange vegetables.
Despite their constant complaints, there were rare moments of skeleton satisfaction. Once the landscapers managed to cut the lawn to an even, lush green, shape the shrubs into perfect, tasteful forms, and meticulously clean up and bag every leaf. The neighborhood looked like a masterpiece, and the skeletons stood silently, momentarily, taking it all in. Well, I must say, Marty remarked, crossing his bony arms, this might be the best trim job I've seen in at least a decade.
Mo nodded in agreement, a truly elegant checkerboard pattern on the lawn. I could cry if I had tear ducts. Morty sniffed the air, or rather, mimed sniffing it, and smiled. No weeds, no stray mulch, clean sidewalks. I can rest easy tonight. But then, Right as the landscapers were packing up to leave, a single rogue leaf fluttered down from the tree landing smack dab in the middle of the freshly mowed lawn. All three skeletons gasped dramatically. "Who left this here?" Morty wailed. "This is disgraceful. A single leaf ruins the whole aesthetic. I thought we had a deal, people."
And with that, the landscapers sighed, knowing they'd be back next week to do it all over again under the watchful, or rather, watch-skull eyes of Mo, Marty, and Morty, the pickiest, grumpiest, and most meticulous skeleton lawn critics the world had ever seen. The end, until the next misplaced leaf.